Hi, Kelly Swanson here. I've found that when I hit a trouble spot, and I know that my life needs reframing, that looking back helps. That's right, hindsight is something, well, sometimes it's the perspective we need in the moment we're in. I often find that in order to deal with a situation today, I have to go back to a situation from way back then. Because when you're in it, well, it's so hard to see clearly. But once you're on the other side, well, things start to make sense. And you can look back and find the lesson or the gift in it. And while that story may have been different, the principle is probably the same. This played out perfectly just a few weeks ago, and today I want to share that story because I think it might help you with whatever you're going through. So settle in and let me tell you what happened, because we don't have much time. We were all surprised when we got the news just a few months ago. It had finally happened. My nephew, Bo Beam Jr., was finally going to graduate, which to those of you who knew him would constitute a miracle. If you know Bo Beam, you'd understand our shock, as his favorite pastime was shooting the empty beer cans off the back deck. Any extracurricular activity tied to his name usually started with the words, "Wouldn't it be funny?" and ended up with, "Oh man, now that's gonna leave a mark." It was quite clear that Budweiser did most of Bo Beam's thinking for him. As far as scholastic ambitions, well, we hadn't ever seen him dream too far beyond that back deck. So it was quite hard to believe that Bo Beam was going to walk across that stage in the proverbial rite of passage into being an official adult, even though he'd had a beard since middle school. Bo's mama made it quite clear that she expected everyone to be in attendance, not so much to see her son grab that diploma, but for her to show off her new rear end implants. Oh yeah, it's a thing. I heard all the Kardashians have them. Which we're sure is an affront to whoever invented them, as Bo's mama did not need an extra boost to the caboose. I mean, it was bordering on ridiculous. Nobody had the heart to tell her they were crooked. Now, thanks to the COVID, Bo's mama had not gotten the proper runway to show off her new hindquarters. Bo's graduation was her chance. She'd already bought the dress. She showed us all on Facebook. It was bright orange, and it fit her extra tight. I think it was made up of 90% spandex, 10% prayer that those fibers would hold. I can just imagine that dress cowering in the closet and praying for strength. I mean, how'd you like that job? I can relate. My bra's been protesting for years. Anyway, Bo's mama made it clear that we were all expected to attend this monumental event and that he was registered at the Bojangles and Buster's Bait and Tackle. And all of us were working even harder than that dress to make up an excuse not to come. And then the corona hits and the world turns upside down. And among a bunch of other crappy things, graduation, like everything else in the world, went virtual. And we all got updated invitations to Bo Beam's hybrid graduation. This created quite a bit of confusion, as that part of the family isn't exactly a technologically savvy bunch, or any kind of savvy, truth be told. Some were asking, did hybrid graduation mean we had to all come in cars with plugs? Others wondered, did it mean we had to mix up and sit with different people? And the more conservative in the family had no idea what it meant, but they were fairly convinced it was against their religion. Now, apparently, hybrid just means that some parts are held live in person and some parts are virtual, kind of like a combination. And good grief, couldn't they have just said that in the first place? So, Bo's graduation was going to take place in the parking lot of the Wild Willie's Wiener Wagon, since the school was closed, and Wild Willie was going to offer all graduates a 2-for-1 foot-long special. Now, only immediate family could come to that in the parking lot, since space was limited, and you had to eat your hot dog 6 feet apart. So the rest of us were going to be live streamed in on our computers. Now, we never figured out how that was going to work, and neither could Bo's mama. And since she wasn't one for following the rules, she just came up with her own easier plan. She said we'd all just show up in the Zoom room where we'd been meeting for weeks, and she would take us with her to the graduation. And she's going to be the designated driver so we could all drink. Yeah, you heard me right. Bo Beam's mama just figured she'd bring us all to the graduation on her phone in a Zoom call. And we'd all get a front row seat without ever having to leave our house. which actually was the first silver lining in this whole mess, because who doesn't secretly love a chance to miss out on sitting in a hot parking lot for 3 hours waiting to hear your kid's name, hot dog or not? This way, we didn't even have to get dressed. Bo's mama told us to be ready at 9 a.m. sharp in front of our computers because she wanted to pick us up early. She said she had errands to run, and she wanted to show us how good her car looked since Bo detailed it for her birthday. So there we all were, sitting there on the front seat of her car, staring up her armpit, which is not her best angle, listening to her go on and on about how her baby's graduating and she doesn't look a day over 25, while her new dress was sweating through the pressure of his first day on the job. We didn't know she was going to pull into the Bojangles to pick up a bucket of fried chicken for the graduation. We tried to explain to her it isn't a tailgate, but she wasn't listening. Then we had to drive around again since she decided she better get something to eat for herself since she didn't know how long it would be. And her blood sugar and all, an extra Bo biscuit or two couldn't hurt to have on hand, just in case. Then we had to make a third trip around the drive-thru because there wasn't enough sweet in her tea. Then she had to take us by the drugstore to get more bunion pads because the shoes weren't faring much better than the dress, which we got to see firsthand. When she turned the corner too hard and her phone fell on the floorboard, we got a bird's eye view of her feet. It appeared there was more foot outside the shoe than in it. Suddenly we were all craving canned biscuits. So she brings us into the drugstore, points out Naomi, who works the counter and just got her 15th face ring. No judgment. And then she takes us to the as seen on TV aisle to get our opinion on whether she should get the skin dermosuction system or the pink silicone baking pan that's in the shape of a pig. It was a tie vote, which she took to mean by both. We all got to meet Naomi at the register. No judgment. By the time we got to the graduation ceremony, we were already exhausted. Uncle Skeeter had been snoring since the Bojangles. So we figured at this point it's going to be boring and uneventful from there, as graduations tend to be. We were wrong. Bo Beam had arrived earlier than his mama, so she was left to carry all this stuff herself. It was quite the ordeal watching her get out of the car, gathering the chicken and her purse and all her stuff, trying to shut the door with her foot and waving to her friend Nadine, who just pulled up, and trying to stick her butt out like the Kardashians, which, no lie, looked like a shelf had grown out her back. And she needed an extra hand, so she had to throw that phone where she always does when she's got her hands full. That's right, her bosom. In seconds, our world went dark as we found ourselves drowning in the plunging neckline that was rumored to have once held a pacifier, a flask, a pack of crayons, 2 tissues, and a travel Bible. That's right, she shoved us down there and she didn't look back. I'm pretty sure I was looking at a nail file and a pack of breath mints. It was quiet down there. Could hear people breathing, thinking, what happened? The power go out? It was my cousin who spoke first. She needs to pluck that chin hair, he said. We all nodded. Now, there's all these people out there in the parking lot, and everybody's talking and squealing, and Bo's mama was talking so loud we didn't stand a chance on being heard, so we just sat there. It felt rude to leave the graduation. We are from the South, after all. Manners. I was kind of thinking this must be what it feels like to be buried alive. As we listened to the muffled voice of the announcer calling out each kid's name over the karaoke microphone, it gave me some time to think and reflect. To think about the day I stood on that stage at my own high school graduation. It made me realize, even though most of us already have our own Jack and Diane moments behind us, that we're still, in a way, standing there with those kids. Middle of this crazy world right now, feeling a little bit of the same way as those graduates. Like we're standing right in the middle of where we just were and where we might be headed, not knowing what's ahead or how to prepare for it or even get a chance to study for it. Wishing we could go back as the past shoos us out the door and wishes us good luck. I remember being back in high school so full of hope and excitement that the world was ours. Remember that feeling? I was broke, no direction, no plan, and yet I felt invincible. I'd love to have that feeling back. And it was there that I had that hindsight moment I didn't even see coming, where the girl I was back then whispered to the woman I am now, and I got a chance to do the same. And I began to wonder, what would I tell her back then, based on what I know now? Because isn't that the way it is? Young folks graduate. Seasoned folks like us want to give them advice, help them see life through our eyes, even knowing they won't listen. And I thought of what I'd tell myself, realized it might just be what I need to hear right now. And so right there, tucked between the loving domes of Bo's mama, I delivered my own silent commencement speech, my message to the COVID class of 2020, no matter how old you are or what stage you stand on. My commencement address began like this. Dear graduating class of 2020, it's a special day as you embark on the grand new journey in life, which is pretty much overselling it. Grand journey? Yeah, about that. A lot of it's going to suck. I'm just saying it is. The virus, case in point. But it can still be a grand adventure. But that won't be the universe's job. It'll be yours. So make it happen. Turn everything into adventure, even the sucky parts. One day you'll look back and be surprised as some of your best moments happen in the yucky times, or maybe even because of it. If I could go back to where you stand and give myself advice, I would say, number one, tequila shots are not your friend. I'm serious, kids. You got nothing to prove. You may feel cool lining them up on the bar and hearing your friends chant your name, but you will end up somewhere with your head between your knees. I'm just saying. Another thing I'd tell myself is take the time to find your people. See, I fell into the wrong crowd early, and you sort of start to become like the people you hang out with. Guess I should be glad I didn't hang out with the naked skateboarders on campus. Even now, while I give my own kid that advice, I'm realizing how true it is for me too, that I can choose to hang out with the people who encourage me and lift me up, or I can hang out with the people who are angry, convinced the world is ending, desperate to find the worst. And here's the deal. Where you look is where you land. Have you chosen the right people to whisper in your ear? You know, it's not too late. I tell myself to start dreaming now that this isn't just a pause. You see, I thought college was my chance to wander around and just be. Take the classes they say to take, go with the flow. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I wish I could go back and really start dreaming of what I wanted to be instead of waiting until later, or like some people, never. I know back then dreaming's so much easier. It gets harder, though, the older you get. For some of us, well, one day we just stop, which is fine, your choice, but that's not going to be my choice. Virus or not, I want to be excited. I want to dream. I don't want to just hit pause. So I'm going to let this quarantine push me to see who I can be, what I can do, something I've never seen before. Oh, you think I'm too old? Just watch me. Another thing I go back and tell myself standing on that high school stage is you don't have to figure it all out now. It won't really matter. I know you're probably like, WTH, she just told me to start dreaming and now she's telling me not to bother. But here's the deal. Plans, goals, they look good on paper, but they never work out the way you plan, which is okay. That's the way life is supposed to be. Plans and dreams help guide you to the life you want. No plan guides you off the side of the road. Dreams don't die. They just take a different shape. Yeah, sorry to get all motivational speaker on you, but I think that's exactly what I needed to hear right now. You see, I'm standing in the middle of a storm, one nobody saw coming, nobody could prevent, and nobody really knows how to deal with. So not having any answers, not knowing what to do next is okay. It's okay not to have a plan, a moment when you just have to realize you're not in control. So let it be. And then you'll get a chance to control the next moment. Wow, that's deep, and I'm not even drinking. I tell myself, don't focus on what isn't or you'll miss what is. That's from my theater show. I'll send you a flyer. But self-promotion aside, it's true. If you look for bitter, you'll always find it. Sounds hokey, but pretty much everything. I remember at the beginning of this situation, I was really focused on what wasn't happening. Jobs I wasn't getting, things I was losing, money going down the drain, and just kept feeling it get worse to the point I found it was hard to breathe. And then I stopped and reprogrammed. I said, I'm not going to let my brain hold the space for what's bad, and only for what's good about this, the silver linings. And the more I looked, the more I found. And suddenly, opportunities were knocking on my door I'd never seen before. What's knocking on your door? And are you listening? If I could go back and give myself advice, I'd say, don't be all about the guy. Self-explanatory. Good advice we never listen to. Now, you think that only fits the young graduate, but it's really not about the guy. It's about waiting for somebody else to make you happy. Putting your happy in the hands of someone else. It's the one you give your power away to. Are you making it all about the guy? Another piece of advice I'd give myself is don't forget your family. They loved you first and they'll love you last. You'll forget that sometimes, but one day you'll get where I am and realize it's about all that matters. And I get it, not all families are created equal. Some of us have folks who didn't show up for us the way they should. Which brings me to a different kind of family, not the one you got, but the one you chose, or the one who chose you. You may not have relatives that showed up for you, but we can all have family. It's never too late. The people you choose to do life with. I don't care how old you are, you can still build a family you love. You just might have to go first. I'd also tell myself, best way out of the dark is to be someone else's light. I know, sounds like something you see on a bumper sticker, but it's true. There'll be times when you lose your happy and it's dark. And there's a time and a season for that. But there's one surefire way to make yourself feel better, and that's to focus on someone else's problems. Do that, there won't be any space for yours. And you might find that helping someone get to their happy often brings enough for you too. And the last piece of advice I'd go back and give myself is always look up. Find the something bigger than you, your job, your family, the bigger why, the faith that'll carry you when you just can't walk any longer alone. Oh yeah, a few more things I go back and tell myself. Don't go up and talk to that guy with the mullet and the cut-off t-shirt. It will not end well. And that tattoo will not be cute when you gain 100 pounds. And while you may think it's beautiful to walk down the aisle of your wedding to meet your groom, holding a microphone and singing Shania Twain's From This Moment, you will one day regret it. We all clapped that day when Beauregard Earnhardt Bean Jr. went up to accept his diploma and his footlong. But I'm not sure anybody heard us down there. Beau's mama held up well during the ceremony. Her dress, however, snapped under the pressure somewhere in the afternoon festivities. Story gets pretty ugly after that, and I'm pretty sure it's better left to your imagination. So in closing, to all the graduates of 2020, young and old, I wish you all the best of luck, and hope that somewhere in this story you found a little humor and hope, or at the very least, a little gratitude that you aren't in our family. Until next time, be well, be safe, and find something that makes you laugh. That's been another episode of Cooped Up with Kelly. See you next time.